Hey Brick Bloggeteers, Will here, and today we're looking at set 10332, Medieval Market Square. Now this is kind of a reimagining of a 2009 set, Medieval Market, but the price point is a bit higher. This is 230. I think when that one came out it was just about 100, or maybe a little over 100. Needless to say, I'm a big Castle fan and was super stoked to have a chance to review it. So let's take a look at some of the things in the set. We'll start with the small stuff and work our way up to the bigger buildings. So, the professions. We've got the tailor on the far left. To the left is the carpenter. Next to her is the little girl that runs the cheesemaker. At least she's the only one that came with the cheesemaker. Then next to her is the innkeeper. She's the only one actually in a dress in this set. And then finally we have the shield smith. So most of these, I'm pretty sure maybe all of these have dual faces. So you can have choices in how they're expressing themselves. One of the ones I do like the best is the shield smith. One of her faces has like a squinting eye where the other one's closed because she's really focusing in on whatever she's painting. So those are the professions that are in the buildings. Now we got some of the more fighty type people. We have the Lion Knight Guard. This is the first time I saw them use one of the physical mustache pieces for the minifigure. So he's a very mustachioed man. And then they have a wolf pack kind of scoundrel. In fact, on one of the pieces that we're going to get to shortly, there is a wanted poster that kind of looks like a guy in a hood. Now, what could he possibly be stealing? That might be from this special character that's in the set, the tax collector. So the tax collector, of course, is a new type of character and profession that makes all the sense in this type of setting, given the sheer number of businesses. And he has a little sack that's presumably full of taxes that can be stolen for your, or more the wolf pack's pleasure. Now you do get a lot of little decorative elements that can be placed all around the place. So of course the shieldsmith has the stand with the shields. There is a, let's move this aside, it's an axe with a stand for the log to be cut. You have a table here that is definitely missing one of its legs. That's because the leg is being worked on the lathe on the far right here, and it even has a way to turn it so that when you're turning the lathe and turning on the the leg, that it does actually spin. The carpenter also has a tool stand that can go inside her building, as well as the chair that she's been working on, and on the table is a little stickered tile that has blueprints for the chair. And I do like how the shield stand is made using, at the bottom, this splayed bar connector so that you actually have a tripod stand for where the shields are held. The one thing I don't like is the axe, because this thing just falls all apart and all over the place. It's not that it's not stable, it's just there's no way to connect it or secure anything on it other than hanging it off, and it's very lightweight, so it's very easy to knock off. Another cute element that goes with the town is the cheese stand that goes in front of the cheese maker. They use a lot of nice yellow, orangey, and other colored cheese pieces. That's just fun to have a new thing in the town. Oh, by the way, the town's name is Felsa, F-E-L-S-A. That's a new thing for this. I don't think they've ever really named the towns before, so it was nice to see what this place is called. Another accessory that goes around the buildings is this fun little tree. Has a lot of shaping to it. I do like in the bigger branches, there is these curved elements that go from an axle connector to a bar connector when it gets to its thinner spot. On the tree itself, there are secret elements. This side has a goat for sale, as well as the wanted poster for the, what I believe to be the wolf pack soldier. And then on the other side of the tree, there's a different poster, which definitely looks like it's on a 2x3, which looks to be hard to see out from under the limbs, but it's sort of a beware of the Fright Knights. He's riding that old style dragon, and he definitely has some bat themed things, which was always a big thing in the Fright Knights. So more nods to older castle lines. All right, so the first actual series of buildings is a 3-pack. So from your left, it is the tailor shop. In the middle is the carpenter, and on the far right is the cheesemaker. I do love the fact that they gave each and every one of these their own unique door, which gives, again, the whole face of the building its own characteristics. It's also nice to see that they changed up how each roof is presented, in whether it's its own style, like especially with the tailor, or color, or direction. Because like the cheesemaker and the carpenter do have similar style builds. In fact, both of these roofs will come off to have easier access to play. The cheesemaker and the carpenter. And that's where you have the interior brace. That's pretty much a new thing for me to see built, mainly because they haven't had enough snot bricks that could make a very secure brace like they can now. But now we have enough variety to see it all made. All right. As far as play functionality and, well, getting into the buildings itself, you can definitely see the top of the carpenter and the cheesemaker. It's removing the roofs to get inside them. But if we turn the whole set around and not knock off the smoke and trees, is how you get into the interiors of these buildings. They're made to be fairly shallow. The carpenter is going to be the toughest one. They did give plenty of like arched ways, but getting your hand in there is going to be extremely tough. But you can kind of see how it has different accesses, and this is why they also gave the removable roofs, in case, well, I can't fit my hand inside an archway, but I can actually reach in from the top to get and play with the little kitten or arrange all the cheeses. Now, I do want to point out that as a nostalgia touch, it was neat seeing the cheesemaker, especially because the initial time we saw the cheese wedge slope, it was in the initial medieval market village, which this is a nod to. So we actually see where all that cheese comes from. I will deal with that later. That's not fun. Oh, I do want to point out that in the front, where these buildings are hinged was kind of interesting, because they would be built separately, very separate, and they had a hinge at the base, and then they hinge partway up, and I'm like, how do you normally build like that? Because normally you'd want to build it securely into a model. Well, the way it attaches is at the base, there are slopes on either side of the carpenter door. That's how it secures the bottom hinge. And then the higher up hinge, as you can see, each of the buildings, for whether it's the cheesemaker or the tapestry, are moved forward. That's where the hinge is, and it attaches to the arches on either side of the doorway of the carpenter. That doesn't seem very secure. However, you put a decorative piece on top and then shove an axle in through some tiny little axle bricks, which locks the whole thing down. It was a very smart way to see this done. All right, we've got more buildings. We've got the Broken Axe Inn. Now this building is very strange. So you can definitely start seeing it stylistically changing on the back half. And that's because this half is technically a guard tower and like outer wall. And when you get to opening up, that's when you finally start seeing the inside where there is the shieldsmith. In fact, her sign is right out here with the steps leading up to the guard tower. It's a weird choice, but I did talk about this in the article where back in the mid to late 80s, you had a bunch of Lionite sets that had a building attached to a wall or a business that was built into a wall. So it's kind of a nod to that, but it's weird that the shieldsmith has no door to get into her place, and I wouldn't think people would want to be staying at an inn where there's a shieldsmith maybe smacking an anvil around or getting paint fumes and they're getting very high on all that. I'm not sure you're able to see the second floor of the inn, but that thing is crowded with food and kitchen appliances and everything imaginable. It's amazing they fit that much in there. It does make it extremely hard to play with because as you see, no matter where I'm touching anywhere on the set, I'm just knocking pieces every which way. On the third floor is where the tax collector stays. You can also remove this to make it a little bit easier to get into this room. There is a secret hidden compartment. It's the sword acts as a handle, and inside the little compartment are little coins so that not all the coins are in the bag to be stolen. So pretty smart. When you see signs like the shieldsmith sign or the inn's sign on this flag over here, I absolutely love this design. Those are usually all stickers, as are the shutters on the top floor. They're stickers. So there are a lot of stickers. There is some printing, especially as you can expect with like some of the shields. But just to know, you're going to be having to sticker a lot of small tiles, with 2x3 tiles being probably the biggest thing. You get a mess of stuff with this set. So $230 is a really, really good price for everything. I just am sad to say that there's not a lot of support for this set, especially if you have younger builders, because you don't get the little battle packs, you don't get the wagons, you don't have more easy access to learning about the whole castle theme line. This is definitely just for adults, and we're kind of aging out. So this type of set is just going to be less and less viable and popular to newer audiences unless they actually do a full line. So I'm hoping they will, but as we've seen the Lionite's Castle be over $300. We've seen this be $230. The next closest thing is probably the Red Dragon's Tail, another $300+ set. We saw a Bricklink special set. It was a Mountain Fortress Castle. That was a $380 set. They're just pricing them out of the younger audience. So I hope that sometime in the future we'll get ways to share our love of castles, and it's just not an older fan niche market, because we get even less in that case. But again, set 10332, Medieval Market Square.